Hello, this is a atomic chess game between Tipau and Nabla, Tipau with white, and I will analyze it a bit, and later, after this game, I will analyze Nabla versus Tipau with reversed colors. So we have that Tipau started with knight c3, a classical Tipau opening. I like it because it can lead to many complications. I personally prefer knight h3, but this move is also very good. We don't know yet what the theoretical result of this game, atomic chess game, is. We don't know. Many say that white wins by force, but no one proved that until now. And of course it's very difficult to prove because I think white is not that much better. I think black can equalize. It's like chess. Okay, maybe white is a little better, but I don't think so. It's because the black players that play black do not play carefully, so they think that white has the advantage, but I think it doesn't. At least that's how humans we know. And also many think that white has the advantage because white can play knight f3, for example, and black has forced moves to play in the opening, f6, or black is dead. So knight h3 and now knight pawn h6 or f6, or else black is dead also. So because black has these forced moves, many think that black is in a bad position even from the opening, but this is not the case, because black, although he has forced moves in the opening, yeah, but he is not dead. He is not worse than white. I think he can equalize. And he can win this game also. It's not that white wins all the time or most of the times. It's black, if he plays carefully, he can win also. Anyway, Nabla here played e6. E6. I'm not really familiar with huge atomic opening theory, but from my small research, I find e6 along with knight f6 the best moves here that lead to a chaos, a mess. It's a very difficult game for both. This position is very complicated. The problem with knight c3 now is that black can give a very annoying ping by playing bishop b4. I really hate when my knight is immobilized in that way. It can move. I can threat the bishop like in chess, for example. I can threat this bishop because if I try to capture the bishop, then my knight will be captured also. So this kind of pin is very annoying. Anyway, that's the only bad thing for white here. And now Tipau played d4. d4, sensible and solid move. Knight b5. Well, I don't really like it, since after queen h4, g3, now queen e4, bishop c5, and leads to a game where black is better, I think. So d4 instead of b5, knight b5 is perfectly fine. Then Nabla played knight f6. I'm not really sure I like this move, but it's too deep and complicated anyway for a verdict to come out, so perhaps it's a logical move, but allows this damn pin that Tipau played. This pin is huge for white, and it's very annoying for black. Of course, black can now give the same kind of pin. He didn't. He played d5. d5. Okay. Okay, seems solid. e4 was dangerous for black. This white d-pawn, this white's d-pawn on d4 is huge. It's good. It can advance in the future with devastating consequences for black. So d5 is perfectly fine and prevents e4, although that's not a big deal right now here. Anyway, now white Tipau played knight f3, reasonable move, solid move, developing his pieces. And now we have c5, a good move, a good opening choice, and the standard move here, I guess, by attacking the center immediately and removing pieces from the queen. This c7 pawn is very tricky because it can lead to many devastating results by capturing it the white. Anyway, c5 is a perfectly fine move, and now e3. Solid move again, opening the line for his bishop to b5. Now, of course, not now. For his bishop to d5, and with the knight on c3 and pawn on d5, this is always dangerous. A bishop here, for example, here. Now, this is over for black because we have that kind of combination. Knight takes d5 pawn, and white's king is forced to die. Here I can capture that. So this kind of move allows the bishop to go here with devastating results because we have this pawn threatened by the knight. Black can't of course win the knight with c takes d4. It's suicide, since after knight e5 and black loses on the spot. But what about, instead of e3, what about e4? Isn't this better? I think it is. I think it's better. One of the reasons, and the main reason that it's better, it's because it attacks the d5 pawn also. So the next move Nabla played, it's queen a5. It's a somewhat freeing move for black. That move can be played right now because white can play the previous series of moves I said, bishop b5, and now, of course, now the knight can take this because the queen will capture the king, but this can be played, and now again white wins. So by playing e4, Nabla can play queen a5, but Tipau played e3. That's why I liked e4 better. e4 allows again this, and as we've said, this wins because now I think we have a pretty tactic here. This, and now the f7 pawn is threatened, so black must capture the knight. Nothing works, of course not this. This, well, it's a win for white. So no c to d4. What about d to e4, capturing the knight also? Well, that doesn't work either, since then we have this series of moves and now a very strong move d5, and black can only play this bishop to d6, the only move. And now after that, the d pawn decides the game. It's a very powerful pawn that, and white will win here. It's much better. So I prefer to play e4 instead of the more quiet e3. But Tipau played that. Nabla played queen a5. As I remember, let's see. Yes, queen e5 has been played by Nabla. Now bishop b5, knight c6. That doesn't work. So Tipau can play that beautiful move, but if his pawn was here, but with e4, fifth move for white, then he could play that. Anyway, Nabla played here, and now Tipau replied with bishop takes knight to f6. Takes knight f6. Now that the queen had moved, this knight is not pinned, because if before the knight moved, then white will win the spot. But now that the queen moved, of course, this knight can move also. Not now. This knight can move also and threaten many things. Many things. So white has to take that annoying, very annoying knight, because it has to be eliminated at all costs, because knight g4, for example, was lurking, so Tipau chose wisely. But why not play bishop b5 first and knight c6, perhaps force that? Well, it doesn't matter, since white can play anyway to b5, so black can do nothing to avoid b5, bishop b5. White can play anytime he wants bishop b5, because if black tries to prevent that with a6, for example, bishop b5 can be played also, because the queen is near there, so black can capture the b5. Anyway, Tipau, and I guess Tipau didn't choose to play now this because Tipau may wanted to give some complications more to Nabla to think about, avoiding forced move for black. This is a forced move, so it sets a specific kind of game. So perhaps Tipau didn't want to make Nabla's life easier, so he played that move. Anyway, it's maybe that's not the reason. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now Nabla played c to d4, winning a knight, but that's okay for white. He played b4, and now queen a3. Queen a4, of course, was not possible because this wins the queen, so queen a3. Now the queen is very annoying, because it can go here, to b2 or c1, and white has to resolve this. But it's not that bad position for white. Actually, is an equal position, because white has this move, and Tipau played knight to g5. 5, yeah. Now position is equal, yet utterly complicated and unbalanced, since after this black's this black, since after that move, black will lose his one pawn advantage. Black has 7 to black has 7. No, not pawn advantage, piece advantage, obviously, a piece of more. Black will lose his rook and his pawn also. White will lose his knight, so material will be equal. All the pieces and pawns will be equal. White will have 2 rooks for a rook and 2 bishops for 1 bishop of white. So it seems that I have made a mistake. Sorry about that. White does not play knight to g5 here. He played first bishop to b5 and then the forced knight to c6, and now white, so all this what I've said here, black played that. White doesn't play the 8th move here, but he played here. This is forced, so white played now queen to d5, captures the pawn and the knight is being eliminated too. And now if black tries to do something else than what he did to capture this pawn, he will lose, because this is a clear loss for black. This is exactly the same. Not here, but we have the knight also. Threatens to capture 2 pawns with the king near, so it's a loss for black. Here again it's a loss, so black has to capture this. And now we have the situation where white has 6 pawns and black has 6 pawns, but white has this move. Black has 2 rooks, white has 2 rooks, and black has the bishop pair, and white has only a knight. But this knight is powerful because he can capture the rook now, because the king has to move, or the pawn has to move, so he has to choose. That of course is suicidal, because this wins. Perhaps not suicidal because he played the bishop here, but anyway, that's not good, because yes, as I've said, here, white loses, black loses. So black has to protect his king, so he should play f6, for example, or f5. f6 he played, Nabla had played. This situation here, let's see what happened. Of course, Tipau must have played that. Yes, let me check not to make another mistake. Of course, he played there. Now white has 6 pawns, black has 5 pawns. White has 2 rooks, black has 1 rook but 2 bishops. So white has 1 pawn more, black has 1 piece more. What's the verdict here? Theoretically, equal pawns plus pieces means a draw. Of course, black has 3 pieces. That's an advantage, but white has 2 rooks. That's an advantage also. So it's a really complicated position, but a bit draws. Black may be a bit better, because bishop can very efficiently can block a rook. So it's not a rook versus bishop advantage that big. A pawn more is a big advantage. A pawn versus a piece in atomic chess in the endgame means that, most of the times of course, means an equal position. A piece actually worth as a pawn, of course not the queen, and of course with many exceptions. Anyway, here Nabla played b5, very good move. I like it very much. Perhaps b6 also is a good move, but black has to deal with rook to d1. How can you deal with that? This is met only with bishop to d6, but then the other bishop has problems to enter the game if that b pawn isn't played right now. So Nabla tries to activate his bishop by playing this pawn here, but this there's also the c4 move of white, a very powerful move white can play. It's the c4 move, which creates huge problems for black to deal, because it can advance, it can be handled like in chess, because this leads to disaster. In chess this bishop wouldn't be disappeared. So the c4 pawn was a threat also for black, so he played bishop pawn to b5. Not and white now can't play c4 because this, and now white is not better because now the bishop now is free and the rook will enter the game, etc. So bishop not bishop, pawn to b5 is a very good move, and Nabla played very correctly. And now Tipau played rook to d1. Now this is forced, and now h4. h4. No time for experiments. h4 with the obvious plan h5, h6, etc. e4 is also interesting to go here and give problems to black with his bishop and his king safety, of course. That's the whole plan. Anyway, Tipau played h4, yeah, and now Nabla developed normally with bishop to b7. Tipau protected his rook, this pawn and his rook, with f3. Then we had castle long, Nabla castle long, and then h5. Normal moves, perfectly solid moves, and the best, I guess. That's what I will have played also. King b8 to activate his bishop, because he can activate his bishop now. The rook will capture the rook. So to activate his dark square bishop, king b8. Now h6, very powerful pawn because it can be captured. Then we have this with loss for black. So h6, bishop g3. Now according to the moves of the brain king, white can actually castle. He can, because there is no check in brain king side, according to the brain king side's rules of atomic chess. So white can castle, but this is not the best move, because white needs this rook to be into that file. So he played king to f1. Now rook d2. This is always a good move to gain tempos, because capturing gives white now the tempo. We have this position and white has to play, but by going here white has to capture, and now it's black's turn to play, so black gains one tempo with that kind of moves. So now Nabla played b4. Nice move, although it's a draw in all fairness, but it's a nice move to put some last pressure to white, some last traps to white. Of course Tipau doesn't fall on these traps. Tipau is one of the best players in atomic chess. Nabla is a very strong player also. So Nabla played b4, and Tipau doesn't fall for that and played rook to h4. What does this move does? It saves the game actually, because every other move, for example this, falls for that, and now white is a toast. Here, it's over. Black can go nowhere. How you can end this game? Easily going here. So white has to play rook to h4. Now this doesn't work, because now black lost. It's 7 and it's a loss. So black has to play the forced. I guess Nabla played that. Yes, of course he played that. And now white has to play the forced rook c4. This pawn has to be eliminated now, because if white plays any other move, for example this, then this, queen, and it's over. So this pawn has to be eliminated, and Nabla indeed captures it. Now king g1 to remove the pin, so now the rook can go here. Of course Nabla can capture now. e4, well, that's perhaps it was intended. Anyway, every other move will and is a draw anyway, but with e4 you can prove anyway that even mathematically that it's a draw, because we have black has a dark squared bishop, and all the pawns of white are on light squares. So whatever black does, white has no problems. White's piece, king can move to light squares or to dark if the piece doesn't threat them. So whatever black does, black can move his king here and there. No, not moving his pawns at all, and black can do nothing about that, and he can win. He has a piece more. This in chess, this is an immediate win for black. It's very easy win for black in chess, but not in atomic chess. In chess, white will advance his king, capture the pawns. Okay, game is over for white. Black wins. But in atomic chess, king can capture a pawn. So if the bishop can't either capture a pawn because they are all on the light squares, then white can just move his king here and there, and let's see if black can trap the king and don't be able to move. Even if white tries to get his king trapped, this can happen, of course, because in atomic chess two kings can approach each other, and now the no that now this and now of course white has to move a pawn, but that's not too bad for him, because again we have the same result. So the white king can be really white can be really go into a zugzwang, as we say in chess, in order to lose a move. And for example, now what now? White can go here, but he has a pawn move, so we have a situation like that. So it's a draw anyway. My point is that if that pawn and that was here and this was here, then black bishop could capture this pawn and create an imbalance here, two pawns versus one pawn, and then perhaps black could win. But with the black bishop, dark square bishops actually, and the opponent's pawns in light squares, this is not possible. Anyway, all these are pointless because it's an obvious draw. Even this is a draw, any move is a draw, but this is a mathematical draw. This is also, but I guess it's much more hard to prove a mathematical draw here, a 100% draw. But this, I guess, can be proved, but that's not the point. Anyway, well, let's go to the second game. That game ended in a draw. Here it was Tipau versus Nabla. Now we will see Nabla with white versus Tipau. So Nabla played knight h3. As we said, a very solid move, a good move. Then Tipau played f6. I believe f6 is not a good choice. That's what I believe according to what I have seen until now. Because after knight c3, c6 is bad. Okay, this is bad because e3, a good move, and now black has too many problems to solve. This knight is very dangerous. This also, the queen is ready to come out, the bishop also, too many problems. And d5 right now it's the best try for black. For example, if not d5 and knight a6, knight d5 wins. It's very easy because now if black captures, the queen easily wins. Threats this and this square, so it's over. This doesn't work either because now white can win easily. Black will lose a huge material, or if he goes here, we have this nice move, and again a win for white. If he goes here, we have again this and a win for white. So nothing works with knight h6. e6 is too passive also, because knight b5, bishop c3, knight h6, for example, the best moves I played here. And now f3. f3 is good because this and white wins. Not wins, but it's much better. It's much better. This position, although white has lost a pawn here, he is better because now black has to protect this square. For example, he can play here, but let's see. This is forced, and now here, and what now for the black side? He can castle, but that's of course suicidal. He can go here, then here, and it's over. So it's out of the question. So let's see that. This is too passive because now white wins two pieces, and it is better. Not very much better, but better. So e6 doesn't work either. d5 is the best try in this position after f6, d3, and d5 is the best try. But knight g5, a good move. Knight g5, bishop g4, f3, and now black has to eliminate that knight by all means because he will lose. So taking this knight removes the bishop, so white is a pawn up, so black loses a pawn for nothing. White's turn also, so white is better here. So this c6 move is not any good, it's bad. So most play, not most play, the best play is knight h6. Tipau plays that move, and after this move white has a good move, I think. Knight d5, knight d5, and now e6 is a very good move also. Of course not now knight takes c7, thinking that he won very good material, but because now this loses for white. Not that, of course. So now white has to play c3. I think it's a good move. For example, knight g4, f4, bishop c4, e3, bishop c5, e3, c6. Now this can be played by white, it's a huge move. c6, so black has to play c6 to release this devastating move for white, to release the pressure. So now knight c7 or e7, and has white with the advantage, I think. So this knight d5 move forced the best moves, I guess, are these. And now white has the advantage with, for example, that, or knight c7. I don't know which is better. White can try both, but all this started with this f6 move that I think it's bad, and I prefer the much stronger, I think, move h6. One first move for black h6 after knight h3, because it doesn't block our knight going to f6, but the most important thing here is that it doesn't block our queen to the d8 h4 diagonal. It doesn't block this diagonal for the queen, because this, and now for example the queen can easily use this diagonal instead. Now we can use it, so that's the main reason I prefer this move. Very good move, I think the best here. Anyway, Tipau played f6. Game continued, knight c3, knight h6. The best move, not c6, not that, as we have shown earlier that e3 now makes white clearly better, giving the pawn for nothing. So not c6 but knight h6. e3. Nabla didn't choose the knight d5 move we said earlier, and played e3. e3 is also a solid good move, but I prefer knight d5. And now Tipau played normally knight g4, f4. Now c6 is good now. And now Nabla played knight to d5, giving a knight. This is a logical move. I don't think giving a knight for an annoying ping that's worth a try. The annoying ping I'm talking about is that the white creates this. Okay, white has developed his bishop, black has this knight mobilized, he can move, but giving a knight for that, I don't like that. I prefer not to play like this. I would have played, for example, d4 or knight g4, I don't know, but not giving my knight with this. Anyway, Nabla did, Tipau accepted, of course. Nabla created this annoying ping for black, and now knight g5. These moves for in atomic chess are very annoying because you can capture the knight because you are also vanishes. And now Tipau played d6, an interesting move. Tipau interestingly allowed knight takes h7. He allowed that, losing his rook. He was clever to allow that. We will see later why. Tipau by d6 activate his bishop to this diagonal, very powerful bishop here. And now Nabla had to choose between capturing and winning a rook and a pawn for a knight, or this that gains nothing immediately, only strategically, positionally it's good. This wins material immediately, but this is bad. Knight f7 is a much better move. Knight takes h7, gains one piece plus pawn. We call all these pieces in chess pieces. Yeah, the pawns are pieces also, but in when you play, you don't call them pieces. Pieces are only the rook, bishop, knight, queen, and king. not the pawns. Of course, we can call all the pieces chessmen. We can call these pieces pieces, and the pawns pawns. So when we say pieces, when we say piece, this is a piece up, we mean he's a bishop or knight or rook or queen up, and not a pawn. Anyway, that's semantics. Anyway, knight takes h7 wins a piece and the pawn, because now white has 8 pawns and 5 pieces, and black has 6 pawns and 5 pieces. So white has one chessman more, piece plus pawn. Anyway, why this move is bad? That's important. Because it allows a very good move to be played. What? G6. Why, you will say? To activate the bishop? Not really. G6 is a 2-star move. Why? Because this knight wants to move to make some threats, for example knight f2, but he can't move right now because the queen can go here with devastating results, for example that. And now, well, that is better, because now this is the only move. And now what's the only move? To lose. White loses after, or black loses after playing this. So black wants h5 squared to be supported. So g6 is a very good move because now it activates the knight and the bishop at the same time with just one move that seems a bit unrelated to the knight and the bishop, but it is very related. Now the knight can move here, the bishop can move here or here. It's very important move. So knight f2, and now white has problems. By the way, h4 is met by bishop f5, and now white will lose. Is much worse. I say h4 because in that kind of positions, where there is an open file, you want to advance the pawn, and this most of the times, of course there are many exceptions, this is most of the times very good move, this advanced, because the pawn is most of the times unstoppable, and if you have a rook behind it, it's very powerful combination. Anyway, that doesn't work because of bishop f5. So this capture will have g6 and white will be in a bad position right now. But g6 is a very... So what I've been saying is that this move allows g6 with white in a bad position. But g6 is a very difficult move to be found. But so would Tipau had found the would have found the g6 move? If he wouldn't, then our knight h takes h5, h7 is fine. Many times you face that kind of questions. If you play on a high level like this game it is, you always, and I mean always, have to assume that he will play the best move, and that he In this case, you have to assume that Tipau would have found g6. If you want to win games, you have always to play the best move against a high quality opponent. You can gamble. There are situations where there are two moves, for example. One semi-good move where if you play that, you will gain some advantage, but not big, for example. And there's another move, like for example this. Let's say the semi-good move was, I don't know, let's play some random move. For example this. Let's say, that's an example. For example, there are situations where one move gives a very small advantage, and there is another move like this where the opponent has to find an extremely difficult move, for example like this, and then you are losing. But if he doesn't find that move and he plays something else, then you're winning. So you have to choose between two moves where one doesn't give you the advantage, the other does if the opponent plays incorrectly. So you have to think, should I play that bad move, gambling that my opponent won't play the best move, so I will gain the advantage? Well, the answer at high level is no. You should not gamble at all. You should not play the move that the opponent has not to find the best move in order for you to win. You should play the semi-good move, because at high level the opponent will find the good move and then you will lose. So you should always play the best move and not gamble that, oh, maybe the opponent won't see that. He will probably see that. So Nabla perhaps have thought of all this, perhaps he didn't. Anyway, he didn't play this because Tipau, I guess he will see that good move, and now Nabla will be in a bad shape, will be in a bad position. So Nabla played this move, a positionally very good move, because now Black has to move his queen, of course, first obviously, and now this knight is huge. Here prevents Black from doing many things. Before, Nabla played before, traps the queen. The queen has nowhere to go, so Black is not in a good shape. Bishop f5, solid move, good move, a logical move actually. And now we have now Nabla played this, removing, winning a pawn, giving a threat to the king, but that's a bad move. It must be a bad move. What about d3? It seems to leave white a lot better. I have analyzed that a bit, and I think white must win here. Anyway, not win, but he has the advantage by all means. Black will lose his queen, that's the important thing. Knight h2 doesn't work. because now knight d6 and black is bad, in a bad shape. This black is in a very bad shape. Perhaps queen to f3 was even better. Anyway, after d3 I recommend here this knight takes h2, knight takes d6 for white, and black is worse here. But Nabla didn't play d3 and he blundered. He played an immediate knight takes d6. This allows black to castle long. Castling long while your king is threatened is not a violation of rules in breaking. It is on some other sides, but not on breaking. So Tipau castle, and now white has to protect his king because of the rook. He played bishop. He can play this pawn here because here allows the bishop to take the queen and the bishop. He played here. I don't like this move either. Allows black's king to gain some freedom and fight a better square, and now the rook can capture the bishop if he wants. Black plays here. The rook now can capture the bishop. So I don't like this move because for no reason gives the black a tempo actually. Spending a tempo by improving opponent's king safety is of course bad. I think d3 again was a lot better and kept the advantage to white. I think here white again has the advantage. Now after this move and this that Tipau played, I think black starts to be a little better because of his increased mobility. This queen is threatened, but that's not the big deal here, because his better mobility, his increased mobility, black is better here, I think. Now Nabla has to play a move. His pawn threatens to capture the mighty queen. Is this good? Is this any good? No. This is not only not good, this is a huge mistake. So it's a big mistake, as I was saying. There was still time for that damn d3 move. Nabla should have played that. d3 move will keep the game very unbalanced and very complicated. d3 will be just the best for the game. But Nabla didn't play that, and he had played this move, and now white loses all this material. That's why he was bad. This was bad. Now 13th move, and white moves his rook to c1. Rook to c1. Black will be a toast in another situation, but not now. Black will be dead because his king is exposed, and this is an open file, and the rook is already here. so black will lose. But that bishop is destroying everything for white. Actually, it's not the bishop, it's this pawn, because it's this pawn and the fact that the king is here, because this bishop is pinned, so he can move. It can move, so rook can go here. For example, that doesn't work because of that. So that bishop here protects the black king. So white has to resolve also the knight h2 threat. This is a threat also. So black is winning and lost position for white. All this because of three crucial mistakes. First is capturing this instead of d3, then this instead of d3 again. This d3 move white resisted on playing, and then again this instead of d3, so white is losing. Black hasn't played knight takes h2. Instead he played e5, and now he threatens to go his bishop here, and then his king has to move, and then bishop captures the pawn, and the rook is also eliminated, so white has to do something about that. White has also to do something about h2 pawn, because the knight threats this as also the rook. White of course can deal with both problems at the same time, so he chose to play a3 and not allow the bishop to go here to b4. And now Tipau captures this. Now white has only two pieces, a rook and a bishop, and black has three, an extra rook. He has also an extra pawn, 6 pawns versus 5 of Nabla. So black is winning. Of course, with atomic chess you can be sure about anything before you capture the king. So Tipau has to be a bit careful here, because now Nabla played a normal move, a very logical move, d4, removing the pin from the bishop, because now, for example, he can move the bishop, because now rook doesn't threat to capture the king, because before d4 bishop was pinned, because if now bishop moves, then rook captures this pawn and wins. So Nabla played d4 and gives some problems to black, because he can have multiple plans like rook to b1 or a4 with some kind of attack here, d5, etc. Passed pawns on atomic chess are a pain in the ass because they can be stopped by pieces. You can block them, yeah, but you can't stop them, or else your piece will explode also if you capture the pawn, the passed pawn. So Nabla played d4, and here is a critical moment. Tipau has played b6, the best move, a very good move. Perhaps every other move loses or draws. I think every other move loses or draws except from bishop to c5. This move, I think it's one of the saving moves also. I think there are only two saving moves for black here. bishop to c5 and b6, the one that Tipau played. This is an extremely important fact here. Is a surprising fact that although black has a pawn more and rook more, if he doesn't play b6 or bishop to c5, he will lose, white will win. Why is that? We will see why if we play a bit, and this is how the game has been played. Tipau had played b6, as we said. This is the best move actually, along with bishop to c7, but bishop to c7 allows some complications for black. That why to allow these complications. b6 allows some complications also, that bishop to c5 doesn't create this, but I think both moves win. So, for example, if black played here to threat the king and try to advance these two pawns and then to bring his king here and activate the other rook, well, this loses, because after that black is hopeless. Now b to b6, pawn to b6 move, and white wins. The white rook will go here and black can do nothing about that. This is a win for white. If not this silly looking move, what else? Perhaps a6. A6 is also bad because white threats the b7 pawn with a win. So this pawn has moved now, and after this, for example, bishop goes not here but here, for example, or here, doesn't matter. So what can white do black do right now? The rook will come here and he will probably win or draw, so he has to play here. But playing here allows this move, for example, and now black is in deep problems. The best move, I guess, is this, perhaps, but black is in problems, in heavy problems, because he can also advance this pawn. If he plays something else like that, then it's over, actually. So a draw or win. So a6 is bad too, a5 is exactly the same. So he has to play this, for example. It's very bad also because of this move. And now again we have one of the same, this, for example, and now he's over. But perhaps this is the best move actually, because now after that, no, the piece is not anyway. You have white has at least a draw here by this move. Perhaps bishop to b5 is better. I didn't analyze that, but white can go here and progress this pawn, but he can go also here with the plan to go to d7 and then, for example, d7, and now he doesn't have the time to do anything, black, because He has the time. Yeah. So let me find some better plan for white. Well, a better plan obviously is not to play this bad move here, because now and play for example here, where of course this is not possible right now. The rook can attack immediately, so the only possible move is this, and after this, well, black is in trouble. Is in trouble again. For example, white has multiple plans like f4 and a5, like capturing the bishop. So best plan for black is to challenge the white rook also. That's a good plan always, to put a rook in the same file as the other rook, the opponent rook. So white can go now to d5, d6. White has multiple plans. Perhaps capture this pawn and create two passed pawns. Perhaps even do something with the bishop. So black generally is in trouble. Not losing, but is in trouble. But black, as we said, has a very good move and safe move. That's what matters most. This leads to victory no matter what for black. b6. And now Nabla tries to create problems for black with this tricky move. Of course, the only possible defense of black is to go here. And now, as before, bishop d3. That of course is not possible for black. He will lose. The rook is attacking this file. So Tipau puts the rook in the same file with the opponent rook, a typical move. Now Nabla plays here. Tipau plays rook to c7, tries to keep in touch with the other rook, not going here again, but here. So trying to keep in touch with the other rook in order to free his bishop. Now his bishop if the king gets away one square from the rook, to not touch the rook, then his bishop could move. And actually this is always a good plan, to put a rook against the opponent rook in the same file. So this move was, I think it's winning also, but this is safer because it leads to 100% win. You do not experiment in games, you play the safer move. And now d5. Annoying pawn it seems, but it's not annoying pawn. Black wins. So 8. How? With 8. With h5. h5 is a clever way to win. Very good move and a very nice way to end the game, more simply without having to deal with other complicated tries. So Nabla here plays d6, a logical move. Rook to d7, and now black is perfectly safe, because white can do nothing to invade and attack the king. B to c8, the only try, advancing this pawn, but hopeless try, and h4. Now, for example, if bishop takes rook to d7, we have h3, and for example d7, h2, advances to queen, takes this. White is hopeless, the king can go here or here because the bishop will kill him. So white has nothing. If white doesn't play this, then what else? He doesn't have any other good choices. For example, this move, and now the advance of the pawn is inevitable if white captures the rook besides. If white captures the rook besides, if this pawn moves, then again it's inevitable. A nice ending will be that, and now watch for black. The easiest way for black to end the game is to capture the rook. Then, capturing this pawn is unstoppable right now, but black simply captures it. So now we have 5 pawns versus 3, and it's an easy win. For example, here, white can capture it, and it's an easy win. White will be run out of moves, so white's king wants to connect with the other, but black's not worried about that, because it can win easily. How? Now black can capture the king because his king also will be exploded, so it's not allowed it. So he just go to the corner. Now if we had one queen only and not this pawn, then it's a draw. This position is a draw without that pawn, because of course this is not allowed, because black can force the white king to not be near our king. He will always have one square, but hopefully for black this doesn't apply here, because he can promote another queen or rook, doesn't matter, and then he can go here, and now white has run out of squares, so we capture him, we win, black wins, Tipau wins. So the actual game ended in this move, h4, where Nabla resigned because it was obvious that he can do nothing.